Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herald here on Badlands Media. I am your host, Jon Herold. Full disclosure, my son is homesick today. Well, he went to school, and then I got a call from the school that he wasn't feeling good, so I went to pick him up, and he's on the couch right now. He's watching a movie, so we'll see. I may get interrupted, I may not, but I'm starting to become suspicious that he may have been faking it, or is faking it, because he asked me, "Hey, Dad, you wouldn't be mad if I was faking sick, would you?" And that was a fun conversation. But no, he does look pale and tired and has a little fever, so I don't think he is faking it. Maybe it was just curiosity. But anyway, we're going to go through this pretty quick today because of that. Plus, there's so much going on. We have a bunch of live coverages happening from all the Senate hearings and whatnot. And also, Trump is about to go live with the tariff thing. So I'm going to get to our sponsors. We're going to have a guest joining us right off the bat to talk about some geopolitics. We'll cruise through the news and we'll get you guys out of here. So first up, we got Benson Honey Farms. Welcome to Benson Honey Farms, where it's not just honey, it's pure gold. We are a dedicated husband and wife team passionate about bringing you the finest honey sourced right from the heartland of Nebraska. Proud to support our country. We're chasing the American dream on our family farm. Did you know honey isn't just a tasty treat? It's nature's medicine. Perfect for easing allergies, soothing upset stomachs, and serving as a delicious alternative sweetener in all your baking. Our honey is never heated and is delivered to you in its delicious raw state. At Benson Honey Farms, we know the importance of quality, which is why we focus on the purity of our honey. But that's not all. We also offer handcrafted soaps, delightful candies, and more to enhance your experience. Join our community of supporters and enjoy a sweet deal. Visit bensonhoneyfarms.com and use promo code DAILYHERALD. It's one word, Daily Herald, for 15% off your purchase. Benson Honey Farms, savor the taste of Nebraska and support this America First business. Follow them on Facebook at Benson Honey Farms. Thank you, Benson, for supporting the show in Badlands for as long as you have. You've been there since day one, and appreciate you guys in the audience supporting our sponsors. It's one of the best ways you can support us. Also by hitting that thumbs up. We got one more here, and then I'll bring Ghost on, and we'll talk some geopolitics.
Hey there, Badlanders. Do you love Badlands as much as you hate communism? Do you want patriotic apparel that's not made in China, but also won't make you look like a dork? Well, then we've got just the thing for you. Introducing an entirely new line of official Badlands gear made in partnership with the culture warriors at Rise Attire and Rise INTL. With 4 brand new collections of original artwork across a wide range of products to choose from. Spread the signal with deep-cut symbols from Devolution lore to the ghosts in the machine on the front lines of the Psy War. Wrap yourself in America the Beautiful with the warm tones and textures of Badlands National Park. To the eye of the storm in Mount Rushmore. This is premium quality streetwear, custom made to order from scratch just for you by the Patriots at our East Peoria, Illinois facility. Don't wait. Explore the entire store and order your new gear today at badlandsmedia.tv/rise. Represent Badlands boldly and proudly. This culture war ain't gonna win itself.
All right, welcome to the show, Ghost. I know you've been busy all morning covering the Senate hearings, but I wanted to have you on because there is so much going on in the world of geopolitics right now, and the peace deals is being negotiated, and I wanted to get your perspective. We talked about it a little bit last night on the Power Hour, but there's a lot of action going on in Ukraine with that whole deal. But they're going to be meeting in Saudi Arabia allegedly to get this peace deal done. And one of the things that Trump actually posted is that video. Hold on, let me pull this up. The video that you posted yesterday, and then I also have that video ready to go that you sent me. But Trump made some interesting remarks. Here we go. Let me share this. And as I said last night on the Power Hour, if you listen to what he says here, he talks about Putin coming to the United States, us going to Russia, or Trump going to Russia. But then after that, he says, well, after we all meet in Saudi Arabia and get this deal done. So it's kind of funny, the order of operations there, because really the meetings in each other's countries probably isn't going to take place unless peace is negotiated. It's like they already know the peace deal is done. But let's listen to this, and then I'll get your perspective on what's going on.
Dealing with President Putin largely on the phone, and we ultimately expect to meet. In fact, we expect that he'll come here and I'll go there, and we're going to meet also probably in Saudi Arabia. The first time we'll meet in Saudi Arabia, see if we can get something done. But we want to end that war. That war is a disaster. Dealing with President.
All right, man. What are you thinking? What are you seeing?
Man, this is really encouraging. This is what I think we've been waiting for. A lot of us have been waiting for this moment. It seems like this is where the public is kind of starting to be read in on what we would call the sovereign alliance. The other thing that happened with MBS is he negotiated. You may have heard Mark Fogel, the hostage was released from Russia. We released a crypto businessman, a Russian businessman. It was reported that MBS was a key part of that negotiation and facilitating all of that. Not the first time he's done that. He did that during the Biden administration with getting a prisoner swap between Russia and the U.S. And I think really what we saw happen during the Biden administration was MBS, this is the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, going around doing these bilateral agreements with these different countries, using the PIF, the Public Investment Fund, which is the Saudi version of what Trump is calling now the sovereign wealth fund that he wants to make in the United States. And basically going around saying, I want to invest billions of dollars in your country. How can I do that? And, winning friends over. Everyone wants to be friends with him because they want him to come invest that money in their country, obviously. So he's made a lot of friends around the world because that, and he's also very charismatic and people like him for other reasons. So I think he's been leveraging those relationships to help advance the interests of what we would call the sovereign alliance throughout the Biden administration. And now we're seeing all that come to a head with, it seems like he was pretty adamant that he wants to be the one to host this meeting between Putin and Trump, which I think makes all the sense in the world for him to be the one to do it.
Yeah, I want to read an article here. And we won't read the whole thing, but there's some interesting quotes in this. And this is from the Wall Street Journal, came out last night. Trump writes a new playbook for quagmires in Gaza and Ukraine. President Trump is rewriting the accepted playbook for solving the world's intractable conflicts, offering talks to settle the Ukraine war with concessions to Russia and crushing hopes for a Palestinian state with his plan to resettle Gaza's entire population. His blueprints for both places are rejections of U.S. policy going back decades, a stark assertion that Washington's conventional answers to these seemingly interminable clashes have been tried and have failed. What he wants in both situations is quiet. It's a peace deal, less American engagement, less American risk. And then a couple more quotes here. As Trump disclosed Wednesday that he and Russian President Vladimir Putin had agreed to begin talks on a peace deal, SecDef Hegseth was laying out in Brussels the parameters that ruled out Kyiv's reclaiming all of its Russian seized territory, as well as Ukrainian membership in NATO and the deployment of U.S. troops as peacekeepers. European officials said the administration's concessions surrendered Trump's leverage before talks even began. So interesting perspective that they're taking on that. One more thing here. In the second term, Trump is already proving more willing to pursue his own ideas. In Gaza, his plan to relocate nearly 2 million Palestinians to Jordan and Egypt so the U.S. can take and rebuild the shattered enclave that has been rejected by Arab governments and some Gazans who have said they would never abandon their homes. So it's an interesting perspective that the establishment is putting on this. Like we're doing these concessions to Russia, and in a way, you could probably look at it that way. But really, it's the deal that's been in place for a long time. Do you have any thoughts on this article and what it's laid out here?
No, I think you're spot on. I mean, I think this deal probably has been in place for a long time. I know y'all have talked about that before. We've talked about that before. A lot of this is just more of public disclosure and bringing the public up to speed in all likelihood. There probably are elements and actors out there who aren't in on the deal who need to be, maneuvered around, so to speak. But I would agree with you overall. And, the more I've thought about the whole, everything Trump's done in the past week and a half with this, is he's kind of taken this idea that a lot of people have speculated that some warmongers have wanted to do, which is to annex Gaza and to guns, et cetera. And he's kind of made it very cartoonish. He's made it very absurd. He's cranked the volume all the way up on it. He's kind of incited a lot of emotions and feelings from everybody. And he's made it the central conversation. But I think what he's also done is he's kind of almost done this alley-oop where he's thrown the ball up to put the ball in the Arabs' court to allow them to flex their sovereignty and show the world that they can manage their own affairs. Because yesterday, Ash and I were covering, and then you can play that video. Ash and I were covering the White House press brief, And Caroline Leavitt said, Trump wanted me to convey to everybody that King Abdullah opposes his idea to resettle the Gazans. He wants the Gazans to stay in Gaza. Trump wants them to leave temporarily. And so what President Trump has done is he's asked Abdullah to get with all of his Arab partners and come back with a proposal, a better plan, and present the plan to him about what they want to happen with Gaza. So, I mean, now the door is wide open for something totally different to happen.
Yeah, that's perfect. And so I have two clips to play. The one that you sent me, and I also want to play this one first, I think, because this is the UAE's ambassador to the US, and he apparently admitted that there is no alternative plan for Gaza better than what Donald Trump proposed. And this came out like 15 minutes before I went live. At least that's when I found it.
Can you find common ground with this administration on Gaza?
We're going to try. I think the current approach is going to be difficult, but at the end of the day, we're all in the solution-seeking business. We just don't know where it's going to land yet.
Is the UAE trying to work on a plan, an alternative?
Not yet. Not yet. I don't see an alternative to what's being proposed. I really don't.
Yeah.
And so if someone has one, we're happy to discuss it. We're happy to explore it, but it hasn't surfaced yet.
I think it's just interesting he said that. Do you have any comments on that before we play this video?
For sure. That's I had not seen that. That's Youssef Al Otaiba, who is the UAE's ambassador to the United States. He's the guy who brought MBS in when MBS first became crown prince and introduced him to everyone in DC. And basically when MBS and Trump did their whole attack against Qatar in 2018, when the press came in and the CIA came in and tried to frame MBS as the killer of Jamal Khashoggi, Otaiba was the subject of a huge psyop, like a MSM coordinated attack to destroy his credibility and take him down because he's considered the, quote, most charming ambassador in DC. So that's really interesting that he said that. But he's very close allies with MBS. Interesting.
That'd be a fun title to have, the most charming ambassador in DC.
That's what the Huffington Post called him in 2012. And so the Muslim Brotherhood, and CIA had this whole coordinated plan that got leaked actually right after GART last year. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, timing of that. They always leak stuff after GART.
Yeah.
Let me play this video. This is the one you sent over earlier. I haven't seen this one yet. So,
to the great people of Jordan, you're a spectacular group. I have to tell you, you're very, very fantastic people with tremendous brilliance and energy. I want to just say that you have a king who is a tremendous man. He's a leader. He's got a wonderful heart. He loves you so much. He loves his country. He's done amazingly. King Abdullah is one of the true great leaders of the world. And I just want to tell you, you're lucky to have him. And I say that from my heart. You are very, very lucky to have him. And God bless you all. You have a great life. You have a great king. There
you go. Any comments? I gotta message somebody quick. So
yeah, that's it's such a good video he put out because I have long said that I think that Trump and Abdullah have a really, really good relationship. When Abdullah visited in 2017, they had a great press conference together, and he really Abdullah's wife really got along well with Melania. He got along well with Trump. Jordan is 2/3 Palestinian because they all got displaced out of Palestine. There's a lot of animosity there against Abdullah because he's perceived throughout the Arab world as kind of a Western puppet, like a puppet of the deep state. But the reality is that his extended family was butchered in the 1950s by the CIA. So why he probably lives under like a constant threat of being murdered. But what's most important to know about him, very decent people, like very good family from what I understand. But he's also the last living relative, him and his sons, direct descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. They come from the Hashemite dynasty. They're widely recognized. Everyone else claims to be a descendant from Muhammad, but this guy is like through the patriarch lineage, directly the descendant of Muhammad. So if Trump were to do this plan that he has talked about doing, there's a really good chance, and McGregor said this as well, that this guy would be butchered alive by the mob, right? And once
the king of Jordan,
and the president of Egypt, if they took in Palestinians and agreed to it, they probably would be violently overthrown by their people. And if that happened, you have to think about, like, once the bloodlust wore off and the moment wore off and everyone sobered up, the final descendants of the Prophet Muhammad would be dead. The bloodline of Muhammad would be cut. And basically the blame of that would be laid at the feet of President Trump and the West and Israel, right? And so that would then give a whole new reason for the entire Muslim world to want revenge against that act. And so I think there's just so many reasons why, like, this is not going to play out the way that Trump has said it will. And if before I go, there's a 20-second clip from their 2017. That's if you want to share my screen, that's very, very signal of what Trump said.
Okay.
That I can play for you.
We have just announced that the United States will contribute additional funds to Jordan for humanitarian assistance. This aid will help countries like Jordan host refugees until it is safe for them to return home. The refugees want to return home. I know that from so many other instances. They want to return back to their home.
So that seems like signal to me.
Wow. What do you take about what's going on with Israel and Gaza? Because there's like a short little, there was some tension, a dispute that they had that threatened to derail the ceasefire that was going on. I think they started. Yeah, here I have the article. Let me just read this quick. Israel and Hamas have agreed to resolve a dispute that threatened to derail their fragile ceasefire after humanitarian equipment began entering Gaza on Thursday, and Hamas backed off on a threat that it wouldn't release any more Israeli hostages. The militant group agreed to release the next 3 hostages that it had threatened to withhold after receiving guarantees from mediators that the caravans and medical equipment would be allowed into Gaza on Thursday. Egyptian officials said the mediation efforts had succeeded in overcoming obstacles that threatened the deal. Israel hasn't yet commented. But yeah, Egypt's the one doing the mediation. But any thoughts on this, and then we'll get you out of here.
Yeah, it's pretty much just there's been a lot of back and forth. Netanyahu has tried to alter the terms of the deal and make new demands. And Hamas has said, we already agreed to this deal with Steve Witkoff back on January 19th. Like, you can't change the deal. And so the IDF has been mobilized by Netanyahu, and the threat of war is on the cusp. And then now there's a lot of Israeli politicians who are yelling at Netanyahu. Some of them want Netanyahu to resume the war. The other half are like, get our hostages home, like all this BS. So there's a lot of animosity and unrest now within the Israeli government because there are elements who want the war to continue, and there's elements who want the hostages back. And so Netanyahu's kind of caught in like a pincer move right now.
Interesting. Awesome. Yeah. Well, appreciate it, man. Any final closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the part of the negotiation with Ukraine, the $500 billion in rare earth minerals. I've been talking a lot about rare earth minerals, the mineral rights. That seems like that could be like an asset seizure kind of thing from the cartel in Kyiv. So that's worth tracking. Just track the whole rare earth mineral discussion. But other than that, this is a really, really exciting geopolitical time to be alive, I guess.
Yeah, the next couple of weeks are going to be pretty spicy. So we'll definitely get you back on if anything major happens. Appreciate it, Ghost. And yeah, we'll talk to you later.
Awesome, man.
There you have it, guys. He'll be on live coverage stuff, I'm sure, throughout the day. So after the show is over, you guys can catch up with Ghost again on one of those live coverage streams. For those who are asking, we did create a new stream link for the Trump press conference. There's just so much going on. And we decided we're going to go to live coverage with the existing stream we have going on with the Senate hearings. We're probably just going to end up creating here in the very near future, like just a Badlands live channel where we hop back and forth between all the live stuff. So just stay tuned and make sure you're following us here on Rumble so you don't miss anything. Some news on the confirmation hearings. Obviously, most of you are probably aware today we got RFK Jr. confirmed as the HHS secretary. Is a 52-48 vote. Mitch McConnell is the one, again, who's voted against pretty much every single one of Trump's picks. It's fascinating. But Brooke Rollins was confirmed as Secretary of Agriculture. Kash Patel advanced out of the Judiciary Committee. They had that little hearing this morning, and the Democrats all whined and cried, and it was kind of funny to watch. But yeah, he got a favorable recommendation, and so it's going to go to the floor. They haven't invoked cloture on that yet. So once cloture is enacted, it'll be 30 hours, and it depends on where it might not be for a week or so, even until we get the actual vote on Kash Patel. It just depends if they move him up or not in the timeline. Linda McMahon is facing senators from the Help Committee for her hearing to become Secretary of Education, and that vote is not yet scheduled. So still expected on the Senate floor. This is subject to change, but thank you, Ash, for sending this along. Cloture on Howard Lutnick to be Secretary of Commerce, 30 hours debate, confirmation of Lutnick, then cloture on Kelly Loeffler to be administrator of the SBA, Small Business Association, 30 hours of debate, then confirmation of Loeffler, and then still to be scheduled are Driscoll, Greer, and Patel. So we don't have an exact timeline on any of that. And then we have stuff for next week, but probably save some of that for tomorrow. But yeah, Kash Patel had that pulled up. It's just so funny watching them freak out. They're scared. Adam Schiff especially. He's got to be pissing himself right now after what's coming, and after witnessing his testimony. He did not take it well. The press conference that we're talking about, that I've been referring to, that's going on probably right now, which I'm still a little sour. They keep scheduling stuff over this show. They haven't gotten the memo yet, but maybe one of these days they'll start doing like 2 p.m. Eastern press conferences. That'd be really appreciated. Anyway, Mr. Trump is expected to impose, why'd they call him Mr. Trump and not President Trump? Who is this? New York Times? Very disrespectful. He's expected to impose reciprocal tariffs on America's trading partners on Thursday. Those tariffs would come as Mr. Trump, President Trump, is scheduled to meet in Washington with Prime Minister of India, Modi, whose country charges the kind of higher levies on American imports that Trump has found problematic. So we shall see how it goes. I don't think anybody really knows the full details of what Trump is actually going to be implementing here with these tariffs. So I'm very curious on what he does. Well, if anything breaks, I'll let you guys know. Ash will text me. But let's move on to this. Already covered that yesterday. This is the new one. We have nominations sent to the Senate. One that's relevant to me. I don't know if anybody else in here is from North Dakota, but Kirsten Baszler. She's I think she's the head of elementary education here in North Dakota. She's going to be the assistant secretary for elementary and secondary education under Trump. At least her nomination was put to the Senate. I'm assuming she'll pass, but we shall see. That was interesting. And one that we kind of forgot about, at least I forgot about, it was announced way back on November 20th that Matthew Whitaker would be the representative to NATO. And I saw that in here. I was like, that's one that sticks out to me for sure, just because of his role as acting AG in Trump's first administration. So I think this is notable. Like I said, I kind of forgot that he was going to serve a role. So when I saw that, I got excited again. We also had this. This is a new in the presidential actions on the website. One Voice for America's Foreign Relations. It's almost interesting that Trump had to put out an executive order like this. Like, hey guys, I'm the president. I'm the one that gets to dictate our foreign policy. Nobody else. That's what this executive order essentially says. He had to put out an executive order reminding people that he's the one that dictates our foreign policy. I'll read a couple sections here. Article 2 of the United States Constitution vests the power to conduct foreign policy in the President of the United States. Presidents rely on their secretaries of state and their subordinate officials to ensure that the U.S. is served and protected at home and abroad. As the principal steward of the president's foreign policy, the secretary must maintain an exceptional workforce of patriots to implement this policy effectively. A whole bunch of definitions. And then here's what I was referring to before. Reform the Foreign Service and the administration of foreign relations to ensure faithful and effective implementation of the president's foreign policy agenda. Ensure a workforce that is committed to faithful implementation of the president's foreign policy, and replace any handbooks, procedures, guidance, or anything that made me think of the woke agenda stuff. But the Secretary of State, Rubio, is basically going to have the sole and exclusive discretion to fire people or do anything he wants or delegate stuff in line with Trump's agenda. So just interesting he had to put this out. The fact that was even in question at all. But if anything, maybe this is more of the procedural stuff like, hey, I'm laying this out clearly now. If people are not in line with my agenda and how I want things done, I'm going to fire you. So notable. We got this memo to press corps. Hundreds of billions of dollars are fraudulently spent every year. This is for real on the website. The New York Times erroneously wrote that there is no proof for sweeping claims of fraud in federal government spending. Apparently, the Times and other like-minded outlets lack access to a newfangled research tool called Google. The Government Accountability Office released a report just last year finding no area of the federal government is immune to fraud. We estimated that the federal government could lose between $233 billion and $521 billion annually to fraud. President Trump is determined to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars and put an end to fraudulent and wasteful spending. That is a remarkable number. Is it not? I mean, we could just straight up lose $233 billion up to $521 billion due to fraud, with essentially carelessness. $500 billion gets lost. That's unbelievable. But I also have this video. This was from yesterday during her press conference. She got asked a question, and the audacity of this reporter to ask this of Carolyn Levitt.
JJ.
On Doge and the fraud claims, Elon Musk in the Oval yesterday gave us some information on that. We're just wondering if there's some proof, evidence. Is the White House willing to share evidence of those fraud claims, or can Elon Musk come to the briefing room and share material evidence of what he's talking about?
JJ.
On Doge.
This question, she's asking if there's proof of the claims that Elon Musk is putting forth. I don't remember anybody from the mainstream media pushing back on Joe Biden ever, asking for proof on anything. He barely did any press conferences. There was no journalism being done to figure out if that guy actually had dementia, which was obvious to anybody who looked. But no, they lied, they propped him up, and they ignored proof of the Biden family corruption stuff. So the fact that they had the balls to come out here and ask this about the fraud stuff, which is so obvious, and they are posting proof online, but it's just remarkable, the audacity. I wish Carolyn Levitt would be, they're talking about this new press stuff, and she's doing a great job. She's really good at this job. Why even bother with these press people there? They're clearly propaganda agents. They don't care about the truth. They never have. Get some actual people in there that are going to ask good questions. That was the dumbest question anybody could have asked. And actually, maybe that's not true, because there's a lot of dumb questions at these press conferences. Nobody's asking good questions. Very rarely. So I hope it's a very short time period of like this little transition where we get from establishment media to the new media, like they've been saying. But man, all right, we have one more thing. Nope, I think that's everything on the website. Let me check if anything new came out on the. Nothing new. So we'll talk about anything else that comes tomorrow. We got this. I thought this is notable. I missed this the other day. DHS confirms CISA employees are on leave during election security review. This is why it's excited me, is because it has to do with election stuff. The DHS announced on Tuesday that several employees from its Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, specifically those involved in election security and combating misinformation, have been placed on administrative leave. This move is part of a broader evaluation of the agency's approach to election security. Here's a little inside baseball for anybody that's been following Badlands for the last 4 years, 3 years, however long it's been. There is no such thing as election security coming from CISA. They have totally inverted and perverted how our election security process is done, and totally in favor of stealing elections on behalf of establishment candidates. Anything they get their hands on, the people running cybersecurity on our election infrastructure is CrowdStrike, the same people who fabricated the entire DNC hack back in 2016. Like, these are not good people. They're Clinton allies. They were hired by Mark Elias and that law firm. Oh shoot, I can't even think of the law firm now. Hillary Clinton's law firm. They're also embedded. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm glad that the Trump administration is looking at this. Some of these people are on leave. In a statement to Scripps News, DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said, CISA must refocus on its mission, beginning with election security. The agency is undertaking an evaluation of how it has executed its election security mission with a particular focus on work or any work related to mis, dis, and malinformation, the statement read. So the fact that they're talking election security is good. They're having a focus on the misinformation stuff. That's good, not great. I would prefer if they'd actually just look at the machines. But this is better than nothing. At least they're talking about it and they're doing something. But I'm curious what they're going to find. We had the Twitter files. We had the weaponization of government hearings. And I mean, this stuff is already known. Like, this stuff's already out there. We've known about it for 3 years. Let's push the ball a little further down the road. That's where I'm at on it. We got this. Trump and Putin expected to meet in Saudi Arabia. I should have brought this up earlier. Dang it. Yeah. So I found that notable. That clip that Trump played where he's like, Putin's going to come here. I'm going to go there. Oh, but first we got to meet in Saudi Arabia. It's like they already have the whole timeline scripted. They know exactly how this is going to go. The order of operations, like I said earlier. And Trump kind of blew the whole deal there when he said that they're coming here, but first we got to do this. So they're already coordinating and talking about all that. There is some breaking news too. I wonder if I got it pulled up. It's one of these Twitter links. I just got to find it. Maybe I don't. But apparently Putin invited China and the United States to Russia on May 9th for their, I don't know if it's like a peace day or some sort of celebration thing they're having out there. I'll see if I can find that. Hold for processing while I look. Because I think it was, or no, maybe it was Bricks Info, I bet. Let's see here. We'll look together. Oh, yeah, this is interesting too. Russia's Moscow Stock Exchange suspends its trading. I wonder. Problems with data transmission. Okay, here it is. Russian President Putin invites Xi Jinping and Donald Trump to attend Russia's victory parade on May 9th in Moscow. So it's a ways away. By then, hopefully the peace talks will be done. And I wouldn't be surprised if they all show up there and have like a little sovereign alliance parade. That'd be pretty interesting. Let's see. We got, oh yeah, this was kind of wild. Let me, if I can find the right, here we go. Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter, is paying Donald Trump $10 million to settle a lawsuit over the Capitol attack. So Elon Musk, who's working for Doge and finding all this government corruption, like Trump sued Twitter in the aftermath of being suspended back, way back. I think it was 2021 they sued. And yeah, I'll read it. Elon Musk's social media platform X will pay Donald Trump $10 million to settle a lawsuit the president filed after he was banned from the platform following the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The lawsuit was filed against X under the leadership of its previous CEO, Jack Dorsey, after Musk purchased X, reinstated Trump's account, began developing a relationship with the president, and spent $250 million on his re-election campaign. Trump's legal team considered abandoning the lawsuit, but they didn't. The settlement will mark the second time a social media platform has paid Trump millions after the 2021 siege of the Capitol. Can't believe they're still referring to it as a siege. Meta had paid them $25 million back in January. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. Like Elon Musk is working for Trump, and now he's paying him $10 million to settle a lawsuit. I feel like that was probably a favorable settlement considering what they did, banning the president, but it's newsworthy, so we got to talk about it. We got this, and this has to do with the spending bill, and it's a little inside baseball of what's come out over it. And apparently there's hardliners in the GOP that are threatening to revolt against Johnson's plan. And I think any of that stuff is good. What I honestly don't want is us to come to an agreement and put forth a spending bill. I want us to default, shut down, whatever. Let's rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with. But this is from the article, CNN. Speaker Mike Johnson's budget plan is in trouble as multiple GOP hardliners seek last-minute changes that could risk support from the party's centrist middle, jeopardizing leadership's plans to kickstart President Trump's agenda in Congress. Just hours after the House GOP's compromise plan was released, fiscal hawks, didn't even know fiscal hawks existed anymore, in the chamber lined up to call for steeper cuts beyond the current reduction target of $1.5 trillion over a decade. The size of those cuts is already difficult for some GOP centrists to swallow. What? With all the momentum the cuts have in saving money and getting rid of the wasteful government spending has, how could anybody be upset with cutting money? It doesn't make any sense. But whatever, these people are the beneficiaries of these spending packages, so makes sense in that regard. Yet given the backlash from GOP hardliners, it's not clear if the plan will clear a key committee vote on Thursday, that's today, let alone a floor vote by the month's end. As of now, the votes are not there, said Andy Ogles from Tennessee. As it stands, I think it falls short, but it's a work in progress, and we'll keep working on it. Eli Crane, and I like Eli Crane for the most part. He's from Arizona. He says, I'm not happy with the number of cuts. Makes me like him a little less. The budget plan requires Republicans to cut at least $1.5 trillion in mandatory spending with a goal of $2 trillion. But many conservatives say they want to see a specific target of $2 trillion, saying otherwise that extra $500,000 in cuts won't happen. Again, I think this negotiating tactic this is more of a show than anything, because I don't think Trump wants us to do anything other than default. He's said before he was president, in the interim period, that we're going to have to default anyway. Like, why bother wasting time? Inflation has been corrected to back where it should have been the entire time under the Biden administration. They were fraudulently suppressing those numbers. I think they corrected it to show how bad it really is now. Like, let's just rip the Band-Aid off, expose it all, and go through a period of time where we default or shut down. And then we can actually see like what parts of our government are needed. I'm going to be advocating for this until it happens. I will be upset if we do get a spending bill passed. If I'm wrong and that's what Trump wants to do and that's part of the plan, cool. But I would rather, if we're going to default at some point, I'd rather it be now. I'd rather not risk defaulting later on if we haven't fixed our election system, whatever. What if something later on risks us a Democratic presidency again? Like, I don't think I don't think we'll ever have a Democratic president in our lifetimes if we fix our elections. But there's no reason to give them any political fodder. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's do it right now. We got this, and again from CNN, people freaking out over billions in federal funding remaining frozen. So all these lawsuits, and we'll talk about another lawsuit that came through trying to stop Trump's agenda. People are freaking out like, you can't just ignore the judges. He's not above the law. But that's kind of what they're saying he's doing. Federal agencies across Washington are finding ways to keep funding frozen, even after judges last month temporarily blocked the White House's effort to pause trillions of dollars in federal assistance. FEMA has clawed back $80 million. That was yesterday. I think we got that money back. EPA has paused 30 grant programs. USAID contractors say hundreds of millions of dollars of contracts has not been paid. Trump officials say the suspensions are lawful and comply with President Donald Trump's executive orders, arguing he has broad powers over federal spending as president. But multiple lawsuits now accuse the administration of violating Congress's powers over government spending, as well as a federal judge's orders to turn funding back on after a White House freeze late last month. People are just flipping out, and most of them are being careful about what they say. This is Blue Green Alliance, dude. Contracts are going to get broken if this doesn't stop, and workers are going to get laid off. That's the point. We don't want to be spending money on these stupid contracts, and we don't want you working in our government if you're not good at your job and working on behalf of the American people. But yeah, they're freaking out. Love it. We also got the firings. They're started. So Trump's little transition period was like, hey guys, here's your offer. Take it or leave it by February 6th. If you don't take that by then, and the 8-month paid vacation that we're offering you, no promises that you're not going to get fired. Well, only 75,000 people have accepted the offer out of the 2.4 million federal government employees. That's very, very small amount. Did these people think that they would survive, that these judges were going to stop the firings? Because they're going to be in for a rude awakening. Anyway, scores of firings have begun at federal agencies, with terminations of probationary employees underway at the Department of Education and Small Business Administration. Federal employees and union sources told CNN on Wednesday the firings marked the first from Trump administration, as Donald Trump and Elon Musk's Doge aimed to dramatically shrink the federal workforce. Until now, federal employees across all government agencies had only been placed on paid administrative leave. A form letter sent to the Department of Education employees obtained by CNN informing them of their termination stated the agency finds, based on your performance, that you have not demonstrated that your further employment at the agency would be in the public interest. Crazy. I'm sure there's going to be more lawsuits about this, but at the end of the day, hold on, sorry. ClareCat367, John, guessing they misquoted Eli Crane. Bet he's not happy with the cuts because they're not enough. That could be true. I would not put it past him to misquote, but we'll see. But anyway, yeah, they're firing people. I'm absolutely loving it. And just, we're going to see more reading from it. Thought this was crazy. You guys probably are all aware of this. Doge talked about the federal use of old limestone mine to process retirements. Like, can only handle like 10,000 at a time or something per month because of this process, like an underground facility, all paper, totally outdated. Like, this is the stuff we've been sending money on. It's absolutely insane. Like, how is our government? How is this a part of the process? It makes sense. Everything is inefficient in government, but I mean, it's insane. So keep your eyes on this. I'm wondering how they're going to digitize this and make that process more efficient. Because you know what's going to happen. We got this from the Wall Street Journal. Musk says he will pull out a bid of OpenAI if it remains a nonprofit. So he is not happy with Sam Altman and what he's trying to do here. Because Sam Altman he fundraised and everything on this nonprofit company, OpenAI, and now he's trying to take it public and make it a profit company. And Musk is like, no, you're not doing that. And so he put a bid on it. And there's like this back and forth. We talked about this the other day. Musk says he will pull out of that bid if it remains a nonprofit. So I'm curious to see how Sam Altman responds. We don't even need to read the story, but he has a $94.7 billion bid. We'll see what happens. Very interesting. We got this. This is the new judge blocking Trump from firing head of a U.S. agency that investigates corruption. Clearly not doing their job very well. Judge blocked Donald Trump's attempt to fire the head of a body that protects whistleblowers and investigates corruption. Late on Wednesday, Judge Amy Berman Jackson, that name sounds familiar, I don't know why, reversed the White House order sacking Hampton Dellinger as head of the Office of Special Counsel and reinstated him in his post pending a court hearing set for 26th of February. Just another legal setback. This has got to be like 6 now. 6 judges across the country have accepted and put temporary restraining orders on moves Trump's made. Based on lawsuits brought forth by unions or like these foundations that have democracy in their name, which is total BS. Just absolutely mind-numbing. But again, it's part of the process. I think Trump is going to play with the process, within the process, and allow these things to get played out until they get to the Supreme Court and he gets a favorable ruling. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's just do it now, and we'll get to the other side eventually, and he can move forward on the fast track with it. I'm going to play this clip. Mike Benz yesterday, he had 2 interviews drop at like the same time. One with Sean Ryan, one with Joe Rogan. I haven't had a chance to listen to him, but I saw this clip, and it just makes me, I can relate to this clip because we've been banned off of pretty much a majority of these platforms that they're talking about and demonetized all along the way. Let me play it and then I'll talk more on it.
Just the first 2 entries from this. What can technology companies do? So this is USAID telling Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, Twitch, eliminate the financial incentives, nuke their ad revenue if we don't like what they say. What could national governments do? Again, this is our government funded by our tax dollars telling foreign governments that they should regulate ad networks to kill the ad revenue of U.S. social media websites and U.S. news entities, like has been caught up in the advertiser database at state and USAID under the Biden administration. And there's a million more examples.
The reason this hits so close to home to me is because of what Badlands Media has been up against since we started, and even since before that. Me personally getting kicked off of PayPal because of an article that a mainstream media guy wrote on me. He doxed me. He got involved in my divorce process trying to get custody of my kids taken away. Like, that's real. These people will do anything, and we've been facing the uphill battle against demonetization. We don't get access to the big money ads. Like, we're supported by you people watching, like literally, where all these other places, all these other social media sites, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, there's big ad money in there. And when USAID comes running, or these other places come running saying, hey, we're going to prevent you, a Facebook or a YouTube or whatever, from getting access to this ad money unless you demonetize or boot off these people off your platform, they just say, okay, we'll do it. And that's what we've been up against. And so the more of this that gets exposed, the better. I'm hoping to see a change, because I do think the change has got to be coming with Trump's agenda and promises on supporting free speech. And Rumble's great, and I hope Rumble succeeds. I hope Rumble ends up being the best platform out there in terms of streaming. But I still want access to all the other platforms. You know what I mean? So I did get this sent over, CanCon. I appreciate you doing this. He sent over that apparently Eli Crane was misquoted in that article I read earlier, so apologies, and I'll correct it here. he apparently is frustrated because the House is not doing enough to make spending cuts around here. And they need to show the market and the American people that we're serious about reducing the fiscal cliff that we're about to go off. So that's good, because I do like Eli Crane. I found that Eli Crane, I found that quote to be surprising coming from him. So good to see that. Thank you, CanCon, for sending that over. Couple Trump truths that were pretty good. Talking about Politico getting millions of dollars for nothing. They're buying the press. 3 great weeks, perhaps the best ever, but today's the big one. Reciprocal tariffs make America great again. I don't think Trump has come out yet, but again, very curious to see what he does with these tariffs. Talks about the Russia stuff. Great talks with Russia, Ukraine yesterday. Going to be ending that horrible, bloody war soon. Yeah, in the press conference today. Let's see what else I got. Talked about that. I promised you guys yesterday I'd show you this. It's just up on my Twitter. This is an article that was on the CIA vault. So I found it in the vault. Like if you type in CIA vault, a search engine comes up. You can look at FOIA'd or declassified documents there. This is an article from 1967, or a study paper, showing that USAID knowingly assisted Vang Pao with his opium trade in 1967. There's this little quote here. Conveniently, the stamp is over the top of part of this sentence here, but the USAID officials involved apparently realized something would involve opium, but decided to support the project anyway. Just goes to show you how far back, because this is shortly after the inception of the program, how far back that they've been using this money and these funds for nefarious reasons. It's only involved. It's only gotten more corrupt. It's only gotten more difficult to understand where the money's going, convoluted since then. But 1967, as far back as that, it's been happening. And I think that's all I got, unless there's anything breaking. But you know what? Even if there's, I'm just gonna get out of here because my kid is waiting for me. So I will end it here. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you guys tune in again tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, here on the Daily Herald, and get your GART tickets. Badlandsmedia.tv/events. I'll be right back to read the Rumble rants. But otherwise, you guys have a great rest of your day.
Let's get started. That's what she said. Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me?
All right, guys. Some Rumble rants here. Rhinebo, finally a show I can catch live. Thank you, John. Good stuff. Thank you, Rhinebo. Fat Chance, what about merch for this show logo? Well, I'll work on that. I wasn't really sure how, how people would react to the show, so I wanted to give it some time before I went fully all in with merch and everything. But it seems people are liking it. Views seem to be going up, so. And that's up to you guys too. Make sure you guys are sharing around to your friends and family. I'd appreciate it. But thank you, Fat Chance. Nice to see you, man. 12 Indie Boy, they scheduled conferences during your show just to limit the views to your brilliance. Not that I've seen your brilliance. Thanks, man. Also agree with Fat Chance. Let's get some show merch. Yeah, I'll work on it, guys. Keto Higgins, hey, John, with the White House stopping all news and journalism subsidies, will they still fork out for Rumble Premium? Good question. You would hope so. Mingo 314, $47. Thank you. I seem to recall President Reagan fired all air traffic controllers. Thanks, John. I have no idea. I was not alive back then. So you're probably right. But yeah, thanks, guys. Hit that thumbs up. I'm going to go check on my kid, and I will catch you guys later.